Hi, welcome or welcome back. I'm Jacqui, and this is Mind Magic Hypnosis. In my last video, we were talking about Tradwife lies. I want to continue on that, but I want to explain to you how someone who's not raised in a conservative household or brought up in the church falls into the Tradwife life, especially someone who grew up as a feminist and as someone who has been fighting against misogyny and these types of tyrannical assholes my entire life. So how did I end up married to a narcissistic sociopath who acts like an incel, even though he was not, and is very much one of the biggest misogynists I have ever met in my life? So how does a feminist, a riot girl, someone who grew up looking up to women who told men to f off unapologetically, how does someone who still is to this day, a woman who has no problem telling old white men where to stick it? You don't understand. I have been fighting men like Trump literally my entire life. I'm not afraid to go toe to toe with them. Every bone in my body might be shaking, but I will go toe to toe with them, just like I did with my stepdad. Everybody was afraid of this man because, he had that attitude that he was a bully. Except I grew up to fight bullies, including my stepdad. I wasn't afraid to get in his space. I wasn't ever willing to back down either. I was willing to die standing up for what I believe in, and that has been my whole life, including present day. So, you see, I was never this submissive Christian or Jewish girl that was going to grow up to marry a nice Christian or Jewish boy. That was never, ever part of my path. So Jenny Gage actually talked about this in one of her videos, and I want to play a clip from her, and then I want to expand on this, because as she was talking, as I was watching this, I just found myself nodding and agreeing, like, yep, this makes so much sense now. Because for a long time, I had a hard time unpacking and understanding why me? Why would he go after me and choose a woman like me? And why would I pursue a man like him? What was going on psychologically to draw us to each other? And Jenny Gage spells it out here.
Conservative Christian men do not want the submissive, sweet little conservative Christian wifey. They go after the badass boss babe, independent feminist every single time, just so they can break her. I remember sometime the first couple of years that my ex-husband and I were married, that my Mormon mom and Jake had a conversation about me, because Jake and I were having constant fights, and he told my mom just how bullheaded I was. And I remember them talking about how that it was like the taming of the shrew, that marrying me and getting me to submit was like the taming of the shrew. Why can't these men just pick the already sweet, submissive, spineless little Christian girls and marry them? Why go after a Jenny and break her? I don't know. I've done exhaustive searches. I don't see any papers, any studies on it. ChatGPT doesn't really have an answer to me, but I have two speculations. First of all, I think that this is some bizarre male instinct to just break and dominate. It must be an ego boost to find an independent woman and make her small. And number two, not to offend anybody, but just speaking for myself, once I became that submissive woman, I was quite boring. I don't think that the boring church girls are very interesting. Not like the feminists.
These men actually hate women. My husband hated me. He made that very clear. He would chant, I hate my life, I hate my wife, I want to die. That was basically his motto for the last couple years that we lived together. It was very disturbing. But there was nothing I could do about it. This man hates women, all women, because he hates his mother. It starts there. It starts psychologically with the mom. If a man hates his mom, he's not going to treat you well. You need to understand that first and foremost. How a man treats his mom is going to reflect how he might treat you. Now, this is not always true because there are some men who are complete and total mommy's boys who will do everything that their mommy says, you know, those weird like boy moms that I hear about on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but I see the recaps on YouTube. And at first, when I started hearing about these creepy boy moms, I was a little offended because I was like, wait a second, I'm a boy mom. But then I started paying more attention. I was like, oh, I'm not that type of boy mom. That's creepy as all hell. So you do have some boys that are raised by women like that, and that's also a red flag. There's an incestuous, unhealthy Oedipus type of connection there. And my ex-mother-in-law had an Oedipus like obsession. We called it a reverse Oedipus complex with her son. Again, very disturbing. My whole marriage was not normal. Neither of his parents. And then that started to shine a light into his psychology for me. So after I got divorced, I was really able to analyze the psychology of both my in-laws and their son. They want to break women like me, strong, independent, intelligent women who read books, have goals, dreams, ambitions. Men hate that. I was always reading books. I love books, and I don't read a lot of fiction. I read nonfiction. Let me illustrate a point about how men hate intelligent women. When I was in high school, the place where you're supposed to be learning, I was reading a book in the hallway during lunch break. My junior and senior year, they had brought in these two complete idiot security guards for the school. One of them looked like Barney Rubble, and my friend Ari made this flyer that was ridiculously funny. I still remember that to this day. Ari, if you're watching this, I love you, dude. So the Barney Rubble, and then the other guy called himself Terminator. The Terminator guy yelled at me in the hallway for reading a book. I got scolded by a man as a teenage girl for reading a book during lunch. Not for any other reason. I was reading a book and he made fun of me and scolded me. And then like a few weeks later, he got fired and arrested at the same time because he got caught smoking weed on campus with students. So, right, I don't feel bad for being the girl reading a book in the hallway, but he should feel really pathetic for getting fired for smoking weed with high schoolers. Men hate intelligent women. And here's a secret I've learned that was quite shocking. I was dating an intelligent man who had a really big vocabulary. And this was only a few years ago, okay? This was a man who was 11 years older than me. And I was really, really impressed with how I didn't have to dumb myself down for this man. He was liberal, progressive, whatever label he wants to slap on that, and viewed himself as an ally to women. But he also made it very clear that intelligent women were a threat to him. Men want women they can manipulate. An intelligent woman is much harder to manipulate. They want to break strong, independent, intelligent women. Just like Jenny Gage said, as I was listening to her say this, it hit me with, oh my God, yes, this is exactly true. This has been my experience with manosphere men like my husband, and even progressive liberal allies to women. It's all men. I know that we want to say it's not all men. All men are intimidated by intelligent women. They might like you as a friend. They might like you as a booty call. They might even like to date you because you might have some really good ideas, and they might even enjoy your company and your conversation. They're never going to want to marry you or settle down with you because you are a threat to them. They don't want a woman to make more money than them. They don't want a woman who is smarter than them and can call them out on their bullshit. They hate that. Even the ones that pretend to be our allies, I'm telling you, go date them and see for yourself. And you will discover even they are intimidated by intelligent, strong, independent women because they need to be needed. And they know you don't need them. And that is the best position for you. It is in your best interest not to be dependent on a man and need him, but it is in his best interest to have a woman dependent on him and need him. Otherwise, he feels useless. What do they do when they can't break you? They beat you. They beat you to break you. Look at the way that men break dogs or horses, right? They tell you they have to break them. So they have to beat them. They have to abuse them to break them, to train them. They don't think of you as a human. They think of you as a piece of their property. You're not property. Women, you are not any man's property.
Women are not the prize. Women are not queens. Women are property. Women are bugs. Women are freeloaders. Women are annoying.
Any man who calls you property does not deserve your time or attention unless you're spraying pepper spray in his face. Any man who calls you female, hey, female, there was an ad on YouTube about these tests of, and the guy, an old white man, starts off going, any female I talk to, I make take this test. If a man refers to you, a woman, as female, red flag, dump him, ditch him. I don't care if he's your uncle, brother, dad, grandfather, pastor, friend. If he refers to you as female, he does not respect you as a person with autonomy. He wants to break you. That means hurt you, abuse you, train you to be obedient to him. They want obedience. And when my husband realized he wasn't getting that from me, it drove him nuts. He could not handle that. I am not an obedient, submissive woman. If I love you, I will be your partner. I want to be your equal. But if you want me to put you on a pedestal and worship you, that's never going to happen. And that's exactly what my husband wanted. In fact, he literally said those words out loud to me. He literally said to me, I will remember clear as day, I was sitting at the computer, he was on the couch watching TV, and we were in the same living room about 30 feet away from each other, and he says to me, I want a woman who's obsessed with me, and you're not obsessed with me. And he was serious. He was not joking. He was dead serious. I was never obsessed with him because obsession, as I've said in my Anti-Law of Assumption series and the Dark Side of Manifestation series, go check that out. Obsession is dangerous. It is not healthy. Obsession is not love. If somebody makes you the center of their world and they obsess over you, what you do, where you go, what you're wearing, who you're talking to, who's sending you messages, who's in your inbox, that's obsession. That's not love. That's unhealthy. That will lead to you likely being murdered. I'm not going to mince my words because femicide is a really big deal. And most women who are murdered are not murdered by strangers. They're murdered by their partners or their fathers. Fathers and partners are the most dangerous men to any and every woman. Now, maybe you've got a really good partner and a really good father. There are good men out there. I know some. I've loved some. I know they exist. I've raised some. But the majority are not. The majority of men want a piece of property. You're not property. You need to stand your ground on that. I have been standing up to and fighting these types of monsters literally my whole life. How did I end up married to one? Because he tricked me. Because when I met him, he presented himself as everything that I had put out there that I wanted, right? I was pretty transparent about it. My husband actually told me the play-by-play of how he manipulated women. And that's the right word, manipulate. They manipulate you because they know that most women are guided by our feelings, our emotions. If we fall in love, then we're willing to overlook their flaws because most women have this nurturing instinct. We think we can fix them. We think we can heal them. We see something broken in them and we're like, I got that. I can fix that. And you can't. You think you can. You want to. And you have this genuine white knight quality that you want to and think that love is enough and love is all it's going to take. I thought that way. I thought I could love the both of us enough until he could love me back at a certain point in my marriage. In the beginning, he serenaded me. He would play guitar. He was upping the romance, would call me gorgeous, heavy love bombing. And they do that because they know it works, because they know most women are insecure. Because from the time we are preteens, we've got society and media and magazines telling us we're not pretty enough as we are, and we need bigger lips and bigger eyes and bigger boobs and bigger butts. And nothing about us naturally is beautiful. And we need to cover up our natural smells and we need to cover up our natural faces. There starts the insecurity. Those seeds are planted in women very, very young. And men are trained how to use that against us. That's what the whole manosphere does. It trains men how to break women. I learned about the manosphere about 20 years ago. You guys are just hearing about it now. I'm hearing about a resurgence of it, but it's not new. You guys need to understand this manosphere shit has been around for a very long time. And all of these men, even the ones who are not involuntary celibates, AKA incels, like my husband, he acted like an incel, even though he wasn't. He never had a problem getting girls because he knew exactly what words to say to manipulate them. He told me. In fact, when I caught him cheating multiple times and read the at the time it was AOL Instant Messenger, before you had social media and social media messaging and text messaging on the computers, we had a thing called AOL or AIN. AOL Instant Messaging. Okay, so when I would see those or I would see his Yahoo messages, he was literally saying the exact same lines he used on me on multiple other women, and it was working. It was telling us how gorgeous we are, listening to us, how was your day, pretending to care about your day, tell you how beautiful you are when you've probably never been told that you're so gorgeous. And he would specifically use that word gorgeous, never beautiful or pretty, it was gorgeous, okay? When I caught on and was like, oh, this is just his game. I bet you, so many of you, if you're watching this and you've caught a man cheating, you've probably found that he used the same lines on every other woman that he used on you. They play the same game. To them, it is a game. To us, it is our heart, our soul. We're willing to sacrifice ourselves because we want family, we want love, we want to be nurtured, we want that ideal partner. Women are brainwashed, and yes, the correct term is brainwashed, and I know people don't like that term. So another word for it is you've been hypnotized by media, by movies, by Disney, by the princess fairy tale stories of Prince Charming and Everyone Deserves Love and all your rom-coms. That's all fake. It's all by design, because the truth is, every woman I know that is married is miserable. Every woman I know that has gotten divorced is happier. Once you go through the hurdle, like going through divorce hurts, it's hard. Going through my divorce was really hard. And I often sat there and asked myself why. Like, the marriage was the worst prison sentence of my life. So why? Why was divorce hard? It was sad. It was sad for me because I was someone who grew up with the idea that when I get married, it's forever. I tried to make a marriage work with someone until it almost killed me. And then I think about all those women I hear about in the news who didn't make it out of their marriage. And that is exactly why it is my soul mission, soul, S-O-U-L, not S-O-L-E. It is not my only mission. It is one of my spiritual missions to help other women break out of that toxic trap that these evil, psychotic assholes in the government are trying to force you into traditional marriage, but they themselves are not trad wives or trad husbands, okay? Elon Musk can shut the fuck up and go home and raise his kids. His baby mamas can't even get a hold of him, so they have to message him on Twitter, and he still doesn't respond. That's a bad dad. That's not a dad. That is a literal sperm donor. Elon Musk has no business telling any woman to be a breeder when he's not even willing to be responsible as a father and raise his kids. Do you understand what kind of daddy wound that's going to create? Because holy fucking shit. I have the Mind Magic book, which I'll be releasing this month. And then my next book, the Book of Balance that I've been writing, holy shit, you should really read that if you've got a father wound or had an absent father, or if you are an absent father, because there's a whole section on that, shaming men like Elon Musk and calling out exactly the kind of harms and damage and danger it does to both male children and female children, because it fucks up little boys too when their daddy is abusive or absent. So Elon Musk is leaving a bunch of really fucked up little people in his wake. Eric Kirk, not a trad wife, but yet she wants to convince you that you need to be. This bitch didn't even get married until she was in her late 30s, way past her prime, according to the red pill men, way past her prime. Charlie Kirk would be getting ready to divorce her old ass at this point, right? Because she's an old maid. She's over the age of 35. Well, I think they say, what, over 30? Over 22, you're past your sexual prime? 22 is a child. I have kids that are 22. Men who only want women that are 22 or, hey, Leonardo DiCaprio, 25 and under. They don't want grown women. They don't want intelligent women. They want a child that they can manipulate that is in a legal adult body so they can't go to jail. But these men manipulate you. They use your natural subconscious programming against us because we, as girls, are told from a very young age, as I already said, that we're not pretty enough, we're not good enough, we need to cover up our smells and our looks and change our hair and make our boobs bigger and our butts bigger and our tummies flatter and our lips bigger and our eyelashes need to be 12 inches out. I mean, it's ridiculous. None of that is beautiful. I don't know what the fuck kind of freak face they want to turn us into, but ew, okay? Girls, stop with the lips and the eyelashes. You look like a freak. You look really bad. It looks really bad on all of you. It doesn't look good on any of you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be blunt. It looks bad. It looks really fucking bad. The long ass eyelashes, stop. Just stop. If a man demands that you have to falsify your own face to please him, he doesn't love you and he's not worth your time. You need to learn to love you as you are, flaws and all. And then the right person, the right partner, the right match, sure, they might be out there, but maybe the right match is a cat or a dog or you. Maybe you are the right match for you. Maybe it's all the internal work you need to do. But we as people, we need other people. So companions are great to have because relatability creates connection. Connection is the opposite of addiction. And connection saves lives. We all need to connect with people, whether it's platonically, romantically, whatever, but we don't need to be abused and hurt. And that goes for, I don't condone women abusing men either. And I'm going to make a second part to the Johnny Depp, is Johnny Depp a victim of domestic violence video, like I have over up here? Because Amber Heard is definitely an abuser. But Johnny Depp also said and did some pretty horrific things in that relationship. And both can be true. You can have two abusive people in one horrific relationship. And I think in the case of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they brought out the worst in each other, for sure. It took me weeks just to edit that one video because it was stirring up trauma, because Amber Heard and the things that I heard her say on those tapes sounded so much like my husband. I was being triggered. All of a sudden, I was transported back to my bedroom 14 years ago, 15 years ago, when my husband was throwing lit cigarettes at my face and ashtrays at my head, putting holes in the wall, just because he couldn't break me and I wouldn't obey and be the submissive little wife that he wanted. Instead, I wanted a partner, equality, 50-50. He wanted a dictatorship. He said as much. He said, this is not a democracy, this is a dictatorship. He was an abusive asshole and expected me and my children to be his little slaves. And that was not going to happen, ever. And it almost killed me. Don't let men break you. I want you to run from men who talk like this.
We need to stop normalizing women getting an education. Education is literally ruining our sisters. Most of them don't even know how to run a household. Most of them aren't marriage material. Most of them are becoming the men that they want to marry. They go, they study to become a doctor or a lawyer or this, that, and the other. And in the end, when they're 30, 35, unmarried, and barren, they're looking for the doctor at that age. They're looking for the lawyer. They're looking for the successful businessman at that age. Why is this? Because the fathers have prioritized education over them becoming housewives, becoming people that, women that are women. Not every woman needs to be educated and go get a college degree and this, that, and other. We don't need a billion doctors. Disgusting, the state that we're in. But no, these fathers are okay with their daughters going to colleges where they end up committing zina because marriage is not fulfilled and it's put on the back burner.
Man, women were made only for three things: to obey men, to reproduce, and to take care of children. If you read the Bible, that's the only three things that women were made for.
As a straight man, vaginas are badly optimized interfaces, and I would prefer them evolutionarily eradicated. Aesthetically speaking, vaginas are chaos incarnate. They make hardly any sense. There's no standard layout, no symmetry, no visual logic, folds on folds, lips of random lengths, hidden bits, and inconsistent shapes.
This is so gay!
Run from them. Don't give them your time, your attention. Block them. They're not worth anything you have to say. They don't like you. They don't respect you. They think you're property. If you think you can change a man like this, you can't. You can't. You cannot ever change a man like this. They think they can break you, and they might be right. They will beat you. They will do everything they can because they know if you love them enough, you'll lie to yourself. So they work so hard to manipulate your emotions in the first place. My husband told me that is exactly what he did. They hate women. You need to understand that. Even if they pretend, they're pretending, they're manipulating, they're lying. They hate women. I'm going to leave this with Jenny Gage reminding you, and I'll see you in the next video.
So 7 years ago, when I started that TikTok, I did it for one purpose: to warn other people, to warn them what I had seen, what I knew existed inside of Christian nationalism, and let them know that it was coming for them. And it is kind of funny to me how so many people always acted like I was exaggerating in the beginning. Like, oh, Jenny, you're just blowing things out of proportion. And now we're living with exactly what I've been telling people about since I left this community. So now that I have all your attention, let me reiterate the main point that I've been trying to convey to the world since I left Mormonism 7 years ago. Alt-right men hate women. They don't want us to be their equals. They don't want us to have freedom. They are the American Taliban, and they are coming after our rights now more aggressively and more powerfully than they ever have before.